Well, folks, you get something special today because it's been a little bit. Some changes going on in the industry, and Eric Eager has returned. Now the Vice President of Research and Development for SumerSports with Thomas Dimitrov, a name you guys might recognize, going in a different direction, doing some very cool things. Was just out of the Super Bowl at Media Week last week that I feel like this is maybe a better matchup than we've seen in the last ball game. That's really my big question is this Eagles team a more formidable foe than this Bengals group that they had to kind of get over the hump on?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the Eagles are very good. They have great players. I think the markets and the media are overstating the degree to which players 2 through 53 for the Eagles are better than 2 through 53 for Kansas City. But they're a good football team. I think the issue is, can Jalen Hurts be what Joe Burrow was feared to be at the end of games? I don't think so. Like that's really where I think that they fall short. Now, is there a path for the Eagles to get ahead and to run the football down the Chiefs' throats and for it to be kind of Tampa Bay-like? Yeah. I mean, there is. I mean, the Eagles have a really good front four. They have good players in the secondary. They're very Tampa Bay-like in that their defense has the talent to take advantage of the Chiefs if the Chiefs don't have a good game plan for protecting Mahomes and their wide receivers can't get open, much like the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 55. But I think the combination of the Chiefs having fewer distractions than they had, we had Andy Reid's son, get arrested the Friday before the Super Bowl that year. The combination of the fact that this offensive line is, not the best in football, but much better than the one they had in the Tampa Bay game with Tooney and Humphrey being stars, frankly. And, a comfortability, again, working through it. I mean, as somebody who really liked the Valdez-Scantling signing and, was very much in favor of needing a deep threat, even if they kept Tyreek Hill, you watch some of those games where those two were not connecting and you finally saw it against the Bengals. You're like, okay, I'm glad that they continue to try to throw it to him. When we remember that Super Bowl in 2020, Sammy Watkins was coming off of injured reserve and he was a mess. He didn't play for basically 6 to 10 weeks before that Super Bowl. McCole Hardman was a disaster. They really only used Hardman on jet sweepy kind of stuff. They've worked through Sky Moore. They've worked through MBS. They've worked through Juju. And while I don't think it's a great receiving core, from any one player, I think it's actually a better one than they had in that 2020 Super Bowl, top to bottom, if you count Kelsey. So I think that the Eagles, certainly there's a path for them to win. And I think if they do win, it's going to be big. I think that there are more paths that lead the Chiefs to victory in this game.
Do you agree with the sentiment that it is more so than maybe in the last 4 or 5 Super Bowls about the trenches and about whose line group can dominate the other enough to make yardage? I know Jason Kelsey's the elder statesman, but they move very well. The Chiefs have a weakness against the run. On the reverse, they have a great pass rush in Philadelphia, but the Chiefs have come together as a 5-man unit. Maybe you're going to argue that the tackles aren't quite up to par as the interior 3. I would agree with that. But as a 5-man unit, they performed well. Is that really the central key to it, or is there some other factor that's more important?
Well, quarterback's the most important, right? And I think, we all got into this trap in the Tampa Bay game where, the Chiefs were 3-point favorites, basically on the road in that playoff game. And, despite the offensive line problems, despite, even on the other side of the ball, the fact the Bucs offensive line was much better than the Chiefs defensive line. And we overcorrected for how great Mahomes is. I think this one is going in the wrong direction. I think we overcorrected. And I also think that this is, I think that the media is overstating Mahomes' injury and understating Hurts' injuries. I think actually Hurts is probably going to be more limited than Patrick is in this game, which is being underreported. But no, a quarterback is the most important thing. Offensive line, defensive line matter a lot, but I only think that they overcome the quarterback's importance in games like the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, where it's so bad that they really can't get anything going.
Yeah, I see them as a facilitator. The quarterbacks are going to be what they are. We know how good Patrick is, but without that line being able to hold up, that becomes the question. For me, it's more the opposite. I feel like the defense has continued to evolve and raise their level of play. And now they've got maybe one of the more formidable run games coming at them that then has to use the play action off of it, has to let the quarterback run. Especially, I agree with you. It does feel like Hurts is maybe more hurt than they're letting on. So that again brings it back to his legs. Do you feel that they're competent enough, they have enough speed, and they've built this defense correctly enough to be able to chase sideline to sideline and make those stops that they have to make in the run game?
Yes, I think so. And one of the things that's really interesting to consider, and I know a lot of this, Jalen Hurts is a very effective runner. Um, he has a lot of quarterback sneaks, so that decreases it a little bit. But like, when you think about like quarterbacks running the ball in the NFL, Lamar Jackson, you're looking at 6.8 yards a carry, 6.5 yards a carry. Hurts this season, 4.6 yards a carry. Which is good. I guess that's an efficient play, generally. But it's not that efficient, right? We're overlooking maybe the fact I don't think he has the explosiveness in the run game that a Cam Newton had, or a Josh Allen has, or a Lamar Jackson has. And with the injury, I just think, if I were the Chiefs, I would key on the running backs and make Hurts beat them, because I think that Nick Bolton, Willie Gay are more than athletic enough to hunt down Hurts, even if they're flat-footed. I think the safeties, with Cook and Reed and Thornhill, they're moving. They move pretty well, and they don't. The Eagles don't have a third wide receiver that can really kill the Chiefs. So I think they match up probably pretty well on the outside. Goddard is a very good tight end, probably a top 5-ish guy. I think that if the Chiefs make Hurts beat them with his legs, I think that they'll be pleasantly surprised at how limited he will be in that regard.
I agree with that. And concentrate on the run, take around the running backs in particular. Don't give them their bread and butter. My bigger question becomes, do you need to break tendencies? We've seen them shift in the secondary, but now do you have to do something new and different? Do you have to do something, particularly with Brian Cook, who I think is a guy that can be kind of an X factor in this defense, being able to play in the box and play high and move all around as a counterpart to Snead is what I would attack with. But do you think they need to do that, or is what we've seen from them, particularly the last 2 ball games, enough to make you feel confident that they've got enough variation in there to keep everybody on their toes?
Yeah, so the 2 high shells thing, they might have to be, they might have to be a little bit less involved there. Maybe put a guy like Justin Reed in the box a little bit. Maybe play a little bit more Leo Chanel. But no, I think that I don't think that they have to break tendencies that much to win this game. And in fact, I think you've seen better play out of Derek Nottie of late. I think he was really bad in 21, and for most of 22, I think he's played better of late. Kylan Saunders has been a player who has really emerged for this team. Brandon Williams is a force as well. I think if the young defensive linemen, if they trust them to hold the point of attack, it's not like I don't think they're going to shut down the Eagles, but I think that they're going to at least provide some resistance where if you can get Hurts in some third downs, I think that the Chiefs will win their fair share of them. And then it just amounts to then on the offensive side of the ball being able to score with the opportunities that they're afforded.
I think the guy that comes down as the X factor most for me that I've been pleasantly surprised with, and I think might play a factor in this game in a couple of different ways, is Mike Dana, another value pick that they've been able to pull up because of his versatility inside out, and actually has a better bull rush now than he did in college when he was doing it full time. So do you see a particular weakness that you would use him or Chris or anybody to attack along that offensive line of the Eagles?
Yeah, Michael Dana's been great. I mean, Michael Dana, him being able to rush from the 3 and the 1 tech has been instrumental in what we saw. Chris Jones's 2 sacks the other day were both against tackles, right? And where they can line him up. And one of and this is a little inside baseball, but like one of the reasons they really struggled to get a pass rush against the Bengals in the first matchup, and they were really good in the second matchup, was the early down stuff. Their linebackers made tackles, and they got, the safeties made tackles. And so Bengals were in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, whereas in the first matchup, the Bengals were in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. And when you're in 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 3, Michael Dana has to play defensive end, and Chris Jones has to play, 3 tech, because they have to be able to play the run. If there's not a threat of the run, and the Eagles, this is maybe one thing, is the Eagles will run the ball in 3rd and 7. They've shown the proclivity to do that. But if there's no threat of the run, Chris Jones can line up over a tackle. And, that's when bull rushes happen. That's when, he's really a mismatch there. And then Michael Dana being able to hold up and get pushed against, tackles guards and centers has been instrumental. So, yeah, he's been a big force. Carlos Dunlap has been, I know he hasn't put up great numbers, but from a sack perspective, but he's been a guy who's been active. And then Frank Clark's been who the Chiefs wanted him to be, seemingly this entire time this year as well.
Yeah, I think they were just bargaining for 17 games a year rather than 4 games a year, but that's okay when those 4
Yeah.
games come in the postseason, right? Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
He is Eric Eager over from SumerSports. You can check out their podcast, you can check out their site and see what Eric's doing, and don't miss, of course, the Twitter feed. Eric, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun, and go Chiefs.